Excellencies, President of the New Development Bank, members of the BRICS Business Council, I am pleased to participate in this meeting with the BRICS Business Council. The work you do in the Business Council plays a vital role in giving practical shape to the vision of BRICS partnership. The partnership you have forged and the networks you have created are energizing economic growth stories in each BRICS country. At this meeting last year in Goa, there was a suggestion on a closer cooperation between the NDB and BRICS Business Council. I am happy to note that you are entering into an MOU with the NDB. Excellencies and friends, India is changing fast into one of the most open economies in the world today. Foreign direct investment inflows are at an all-time high, rising by 40%. India has moved up in the World Bank Index of ease of doing businesses. Similarly, we have moved up to 32 points in the last 2 years in the Global Competitiveness Index. The goods and service tax that was introduced in July is India's biggest economic reform measure ever. In one stop, a unified market of 1.3 billion people has been created. Programs like Digital India, Startup India and Make in India are changing the economic landscape of the country. They are assisting India turn into the knowledge-based, skill-supported and technology-driven society. Excellencies and friends, I am happy to note that the BRICS Business Council also had matching priorities of trade and investment facilitation, promoting skills development, infrastructure development, SME development, e-commerce and digital economy. Many productive recommendations have come out of your deliberations. Your work towards establishment of BRICS rating agency, energy cooperation, green finance and digital economy is particularly noteworthy. Let me conclude by saying that as governments, we will offer full support to your endeavors and we also count on the BRICS Business Council to take us closer to our common objective of improving businesses and investment cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister Modi, for your statement. Dear colleagues and guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good evening. It is such a pleasure to have you, friends, old and new, with us in Xiamen on the occasion of the BRICS Summit and the dialogue of emerging market and developing countries. Let me start by extending, on behalf of the Chinese government and people, as well as my wife, a warm welcome to all participating leaders and guests of the summit and the dialogue. A Chinese poem describes Xiamen as a city of perpetual spring, covered in flowers and embraced by a sea of gentle waves. The city is reputed as a garden on the sea for its picturesque scenery and pleasant climate. As one of China's 5 special economic zones, Xiamen is a gateway to the world and a land of innovation-driven development. It is also known as the hometown of a great many overseas Chinese and a birthplace of Minnan or southern Fujian culture. As a meeting place of Chinese and foreign cultures, this coastal city is as open and inclusive as an ocean that admits all rivers. Just over a month ago, Gulangyu, an offshore island acclaimed as a museum of international architectures and historical international community, it was a small island, was inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List, adding to the appeal of this city. The gathering of leaders attending the BRICS summit and EMDCD in Xiamen and our discussions on cooperation will leave an enduring legacy to this charming city. In 1985, that is 32 years ago, I came to Xiamen to take up a new post. I was here to take up as the vice mayor of the city. The day of my arrival happened to be my 32nd birthday. Now, another 32 years have passed. Back then, there was hardly any high-rise building. The city was poorly lit at night, and there were very few international business people or tourists. Now, 32 years on, the breeze and ripples of the sea are as soothing as ever, yet Xiamen has taken on a whole new look. The city is now dotted with skyscrapers and brightly illuminated at night. Lush greenery is everywhere, and a blue sky is an everyday sight. The brave, unyielding, and hardworking people of Xiamen, riding on the tide of reform and opening up, have built their city into a modern international metropolis that features robust economic growth, happy lives of its people, and extensive global exchanges. The blossoming flame trees and soaring egrets are symbols of the pioneering and enterprising spirit on which Xiamen's success is built. Dear colleagues and guests, the development of Xiamen epitomizes China's journey of reform and opening up. I do believe there are many similar success stories in other emerging market and developing countries, and there will be more to come. This is because the nations we represent have great people who are both talented and hardworking, who hope to put poverty and backwardness behind them and lead a happy life, and who aspire for fairness, justice, peace, and development. As the Chinese saying goes, a bosom friend afar brings a distant land near. It is our shared aspirations and common pursuit that have brought us together as good friends and partners, despite the geographical distance. Here we are in the southern part of Fujian, or Minnan. There's a saying here that when people work as one, they can turn soil into gold. I'm sure if we, the emerging markets and developing countries, pull together, work hand in hand, and help each other, we can perform such miracles and enable our peoples to lead a happy and prosperous life. In Chinese, Xiamen literally means the gate of an edifice. Today's BRICS summit has been a great success. We have had a lively discussion and achieved fruitful outcomes. Tomorrow's dialogue of emerging market and developing countries will focus on international development and cooperation. I sincerely hope that our meetings in Xiamen will open a new gate to cooperation and development, usher in a second golden decade of BRICS cooperation, and herald a brighter future for emerging market and developing countries. As symbolized by the logos of the Xiamen Summit and Dialogue, let us embark on this voyage together, braving wind and waves, and sail under the rainbow toward a future of development and prosperity. Now, thank you. Now, please join me in a toast to the complete success of the Xiamen Summit and Dialogue, to the bright future of emerging market and developing countries, and to the health of all the guests and your families. Cheers. Cheers.
This is our convoys carrying 5 delegations of the BRIC nations arriving at the Xiamen Convention Center, the venue of the BRIC Summit for this year. This is the Brazilian delegation headed by President Michel Temer, arriving at the venue. Well, the roof is actually like a flying bird. A bird is the symbolizes the city of Xiamen, welcoming the guests attending the BRIC Summit this year. This is President Michel Temer. This is the first state visit of China since he took office last August. He first visited China during the Hangzhou G20 summit in 2016. And this time he's chosen a delegation of 8 ministers within. And the Temer is expected to sign a deal of contracts with Chinese investors in fields like aviation, oil refinery, meat reproduction. And China is Brazil's largest trading partner. A quarter of Brazil's export was to China, and the Chinese enterprises have paced up their investment in the South American country. And this is the South African delegation headed by President Jacob Zuma. South Africa actually joined the organization in 2010, enlarging the group from the original 4-member one. This country has hosted the 5th BRIC Summit in Durban in 2013 and will take over the rotating chair next year. And during the Durban Summit, leaders of the 5 countries decided to establish the BRICS Development Bank. The bank has been renamed as New Development Bank. In August this year, the first regional center of the bank, the African Regional Center, opened in Johannesburg, and followed by Indian delegation headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is Modi's second visit to China since he took office in 2014. During his term, Indian economy has been growing rapidly and steadily. Of course, it has seen a decline of growth in recent months, but still India's economy is the fastest among the world economies. More educated workers in the workforce, lower levels of unemployment. But of course, India is now facing some political problems as it is running into election cycle. That's why Prime Minister Modi reshuffled his cabinet yesterday. India is the second largest population in the world and is very competitive in software, medicine, and finance. As one of the first 4 countries of BRICS, India has been using this organization as a platform for economic cooperation. This is the next delegation. We presume it's going to be the Russian delegation. The final delegation arriving at the venue at Xiamen Convention Center for the BRICS Summit 2017 opening. Well, the Russian delegation is, of course, headed by President Vladimir Putin. And Russia was one of the 4 founding members of BRICS. Its abundant resources and economic potential makes it a great contributor to the bloc. The last time Russia held a BRICS summit was in 2015 in Ufa. And during the Ufa summit, important documents like the Ufa Declaration, the strategy for BRICS economic partnership was signed. Ahead of his arrival, Putin published an article on China's Xinhua website. It is entitled Towards New Horizons of Strategic Partnership, and he urged all the members to carry on the principle of equality and respect in cooperation. He also swore to continue to work with partners in foreign policies, anti-terrorism, and global information security. Well, Russia has been a very close partner with China, especially under President Xi and President Putin.
Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.